So a lot of people aren't ready for this. The thing about mental disorders is that I noticed a couple of years ago that every mental disorder is a sort of pattern. And even though we may not know exactly what happens in the brain, the patterns are more of a byproduct of repetitiveness and distorted feelings, distorted belonging. For instance, as a child, when you're told you're not wanted around, your sense of belonging is distorted. And as a child, you don't have the free range to get away. So what this does is causes a contradiction in the mind where you want to get away but you can't. Basically you're a puppy stuck in a cage with a wolf. And even though the wolf isn't always baring its teeth, you know that at some point it will. So your mind is focused on the potential threat that could be there. I was just watching a video where this woman had 4 kids and she was living with this guy, but she would constantly go hang out with her meth head friends. And the one morning, the guy shot her in the head. Tried lying, saying she took her own life. Well, that's a distortion of our mental simulation where we're not just thinking about consequence. It's basically like when you touch a high voltage fence, it really messes with the way we think, like a virus inside the simulation. Think of not just seeing double, but more like you're seeing a vision of 100. You see one person, now they become 100. It messes with the brain. Sort of like imagine going into war for the first time and you think, yeah, I'm ready for this. All of a sudden, there's loud explosions, shrapnel going everywhere, and your brain's going, whoa, I'm not used to this. You're freaking out. Your body's taking over. Your mind's saying, I can't recognize these patterns of what's going on inside my body. But the more you go into war and you're not shot, you're not blown up, and suddenly you go into a hyper focus where your brain kind of settles down and becomes numb. So this is why repetitiveness is very important, is that over time the picture becomes clearer in a way that kind of calms the brain down and saying, go forward, don't stop. Because if you stop, you're going to get the tremors, you're going to get, the distortion of thoughts where you can't think straight. Even simple orders are going to be incoherent to you because the fear that your body feels is not allowing you to slow down. I mean, we're biological creatures. So this is on a biological level. It's not that you feel fear. It's that your body holds storage of that fear. So when this guy shot his girlfriend, he was thinking in his head, we got 4 kids together. He's thinking, you're going to go do whatever you want, come back, I'm going to take you back after everything you just did again, which gets the mind overstimulated. It's a distortion of belonging. You can't find your place, and everybody's telling you, well, we didn't want you here in the first place. I mean, you tell me once that you don't want me around, I'm never, ever going to believe you want me around. And that's going to make me narcissistic. It's going to make me have thoughts where I want to get out, but I'm held in place because I lack the ability to plan. So these contradictions, especially when you don't feel like you belong anywhere, it's the same as a child not knowing what to do when they're stuck in a house, being told they don't want to be wanted around, yet there's nowhere to go. So this contradiction is very dangerous when you put this idea into a kid's head that they're not wanted around but can't go anywhere. And because of our complexity, we're constantly trying to find a place that we belong. So the key to this is either being silent and not worrying about belonging, but belonging to yourself, sovereignty. Finding your sovereignty is extremely important for being silent, because then you're not reaching your mental tentacles out seeking somewhere to belong. So, and how many people actually feel like they belong? How many people are told that they're not wanted around? How many people like this are narcissistic? How many people like this are defensive? You go on a job, they tell you to do things. They tell you what to do, how to do it, stay safe, blah, blah, blah. Yet they're contradicting their own orders when they say, well, you got to figure this problem out. Yes, it's dangerous. I'm not going to tell you not to do it. You have to do it. But you're going to be the one to figure it out. So this can equate to a sense of unfairness in the mind, because literally, you have a job to do. But if you're not able to plan, if you're not able to see it as, well, this person is in a position to tell me what to do, and they're not doing anything. They're sitting there. They're expecting you to do this dangerous job. How is that fair? How is that fair? We see narcissists rising up in the ranks. Why? Because they're more sure of themselves. At least they seem like it. But anybody can patch over that sense of sureness by blocking out their insecurities, by thinking, well, if I give in to this person, I got to give in to everybody. That's another part of human complexity. But on the job, we're not supposed to belong. You're supposed to work, right? But when you don't belong outside of work, you're not going to belong anywhere.